Jordan open. Chicago with the lead. Bryant to Shaq.
Not a game. We talking about practice.
LeBron James with no regard for human life. Anything's possible.
Bosh back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
Curry for three. Wow! Unbelievable. Making it rain in New York.
We the North are now we the champions.
Not the destination, it's the journey. Mamba out.
G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys NBA Fantasy Podcast. First of its kind. G'day, I'm joined with Jermayne and Cal. How you doing, boys?
Doing pretty well, man. Love a bit of fantasy in my life.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's do the top first rounders for NBA fantasy. Let's go.
Yeah, always a pleasure to be here. One of the favourite times of the year.
Yes.
Fantasy comes around, so
A bit later than normal.
yeah.
Obviously, we've had a
bit
different...
later and earlier
Yeah.
as well.
Well, there's only a few weeks left, and that's why we're getting into the fantasy chat. Even though there hasn't been an NBA draft, there hasn't been a free agency yet, it seems a bit early, but in reality, there's only just over 6 weeks until the NBA season starts, which seems pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So it's time to start thinking about it. So that's why we're starting off with our top 12, which is your standard first round draft in a normal draft. We're going to be going 9 categories, just your standard categories: points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, turnovers, field goals, and free throws. Nothing crazy in there. And we're just going to be picking who we would want to pick at that spot. Okay, we're not pairing them with anyone. This is just the first round, who we think should be going in what order. So just want to give a quick shout out to our fantasy boys who may be listening to get a bit of insight. The State High League, which has been going strong for... How long has it been going now?
Since 2012.
2012.
2011 or 2012?
2012, I believe.
Yeah.
So I think this is the 9th season we're going strong.
And if you're listening, boys, there's a lot of you that do need this kind of help. So make sure you listen, especially to my opinion, because you know your boy's 3-time champion.
Controversial. But yeah, plenty of experience. In this podcast, we've all won a fantasy championship. So
yeah,
we're coming at you with a lot of experience.
Only champions fantasy draft this one.
This is the champions only edition.
Michael, you're not welcome, mate.
Yeah. So a lot of experience coming at you. So we're going to start off with, we're just going to be going 1 through 12. We're not going to be snaking or anything. We'll just keep rotating the picks. But starting with number 1, we've given it to Jermayne. With the least number of championships. With this one chip.
Hey, what am I... Oh, don't know.
Who are you taking with pick number 1, Jermayne?
Pick number 1, I'm going with Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis. Starting off controversial. The first
I don't even think it's controversial to me.
Really? Okay.
Interesting.
Tell me why you don't have James Harden, who's been number 1 for the past 4 seasons in a row.
Well, for me, I think Anthony Davis, he's kind of reaching that next level as we speak, what we've seen through the playoffs. I think there's not many or little to no weaknesses to his game. I think he's just going to get better as well. So one thing in particular that I saw with him was his shooting. His shooting's gotten a lot better. Throughout the season, he shot 33% from the three-pointer, but throughout the playoffs, he shot almost 40%.
Did you really? 40% from 3?
He shot 38%.
Yeah,
but that's a bunch of games.
Yep.
Yeah, high
That's
pressure.
what you want to see in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is a regular season podcast.
This is a regular season thing. Yes. But it still shows that his shooting ability is getting better, and it's still it's something to be wary of.
He's the kind of guy that's been adding a 3-point shot slowly over the last several years. In the regular season last year, he was up to 1.2 a game. Look, I can see him maybe getting to 1.5.
Yeah.
But I don't expect a huge leap from his 3-point value. Why are you picking him over James Harden? That's what I really want to know. Like, James Harden was by far and away the best player last year, and every season, I don't know why, but everyone seems to think he's going to drop off. Why?
No, not disrespecting James Harden, but I think that even AD's defense takes another step, because I reckon
another step over 1.5 steals and 2.4 blocks.
I still think he can bump it up just that little bit, which is, even if it's 0.1 or 0.2, that's huge in fantasy value. And I think if he's still going for that defensive player of the year, which he just missed out on.
Yes,
he was runner-up.
Yeah, I think that's something that's going to increase his value a lot more. So, banking on hopefully the Lakers are still competitive and Vogel still preaches defense, and with LeBron in his ear and everything, I think it's a good mix, and he could have number one value for this year.
What about his rebounding? It's probably noteworthy that when he moved to the Lakers, it did drop.
That's one area in his game that I actually do see improving. If I was to pick any area, I think his rebounds could go up. Hopefully, I mean, this may not happen, but hopefully the Lakers realize that this guy's their best center and they play him as a center. And all this Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee nonsense is limited if gone completely.
JaVale only played limited minutes. I feel like he was in the teens, wasn't he? Like 18, 19 or something. So,
but he's on a team that's got a few big guys. LeBron's getting a lot of rebounds, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but I can see it going north of 10 rebounds a game. But I just, personally, I just can't. I can't pick Anthony Davis over James Harden unless there's like a dramatic change and James Harden goes to a different team. The one argument I could say that James Harden comes back down to the pack is that they don't have D'Antoni coaching them anymore. So perhaps the pace slows down and there's less possessions. But even still, last year James Harden was so far away the best player ahead of every other player that I just think he comes back to the pack and it's a little bit closer. But I don't know. It's so safe to pick James Harden.
It is a safe one, yeah. And I've had James on my team before, and it was incredible to watch, kind of thing, and to have that kind of guy on your team. But maybe it's just Laker fan talking up now, and just
Jermaine the Laker fan goes to Anthony Davis. You going LeBron next, eh?
Hey, we'll see.
I think it is worth noting that when the commissioner announced the return date on the 22nd. He did say to expect players to have some rest, including LeBron James. He specifically said LeBron James. So it's like maybe there's some under the table kind of chats going on. And if that's the case, I mean, you have to admit that Anthony Davis is younger. He should be able to play the games, right? They shouldn't really be resting him as much as you would LeBron. So that should, if LeBron's, let's say, resting, kind of doing a bit of a quiet this year and resting a fair amount of games, that should elevate Anthony Davis in fantasy.
I'll give you a counterpoint to that. So obviously we know that this season is a 72-game season. We're starting much later, so the season's going to be a lot more condensed. They're going to be traveling. They're going to be playing in different cities. And we know that Anthony Davis isn't the most durable player in the world in terms of games played. He's never had like a serious injury, but he misses a lot of games with aches and pains and niggles and things like that. With the Lakers going deep into the playoffs, obviously they were the last team standing. They've got the shortest break in NBA history. Are you worried about like him missing games and him being your number one player taking at the number one spot?
Yes, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie because he played 62 games although you could see that as positive, but as you were saying, late into the season, that recovery time might not be there for them. So. But he's still only 26 or 27 or something.
He'll be 27, I think, next year.
27 next year. Still incredibly young, so maybe that's something I could bank on. But then again, your number one pick, as you said, it should be a safe bet. Yeah,
I like to tend to go on the safer side on these things, and I just, it's not something, a reason that, like, I have him at number 2 on my rankings. Where do you have him, Cal?
I had it at 4.
Really?
I had him down at 4.
You had him down at 4. Fair enough.
You can take him, dude. You can have him. I don't care.
All right.
Look, I love starting my team with the guy who gets blocks. It's a very hard category to get, and if you start off with a guy who's at the very top of that category, who shoots the ball well from the free throw line, it's a hard combination to get in fantasy. So that's why I have him at number 2. But I can't go past James Harden personally.
Fair enough. That's all right.
So with the number 2 pick, you can probably guess who I'm going. I am taking James Harden, and history repeats himself. Last year I got him at pick 4. Would you believe it? In our fantasy draft.
Oh, we must be really good.
Everyone, listen to us. I will give a shout out that neither of you guys didn't pick James Harden over any of the other guys that went before him last year. But yeah, I feel like he's just the safest pick in the top half of the first round. He's been the number 1 player literally 4 years in a row, and he's not that old. Like he's on the other side of 30, but I expected to come down a little bit in terms of his stats because D'Antoni's not going to be there. But even in saying that, we've heard news today that Russell Westbrook may want to be traded. So if you take that ball usage out of that team, well, put that ball usage back into James Harden's hands, and maybe he averaged basically the same numbers.
Maybe he could go up to 11 assists again. Maybe it depends what they do trade. But remember James Harden at the point when he put up 29 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds.
It's messed up. Yeah,
crazy stats.
Yeah. And he's just green across the entire thing. Obviously, if I'm picking James Harden, I'm punting field goal percentage. Although I don't have to. Like if I get a Rudy Gobert on the second round, I could maybe bring that category back. For me personally, my strategy, I don't take into account turnovers. I literally, no matter where I'm picking, I will punt that turnover.
And that's good for James Harden.
And that's great for James Harden. For me, the best players turn the ball over. So I'm not going to be swayed by a turnover. If I want to be good in turnovers, I'll just not play anyone. So yeah, to me, he's just a slam dunk in that early.
Yeah, he's actually really good in terms of games played as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the past, you got 81 games, 82, 81, and then he had that 72 games, which is his lowest in since his.
Well, obviously, we had
12,
a shorter
13,
season last year.
Yeah. So he's not including last season because it was 68 games. But he's very much very reliable.
He's always vocalized that, you know, he doesn't. He's one of those guys that believes in not, you know, low managing.
And the man cares about his stats. He cares about those stats. So
He's a man for the people.
That's great for my fantasy team. So where did you have James Harden, Cal?
I had him at number one. Number one.
Yeah.
He was my number one.
Okay, fair enough. So I definitely don't see James Harden escaping drafts outside the top two. You know, maybe someone pulls an Anthony Davis or someone else out of their hat, but no way in a draft you're going to get James Harden outside the top two, or at least you shouldn't. If you do, it's probably time to get a better league and convert some people who know a bit more about their basketball. All right, well, let's move on to number 3. I think this is where it starts to get a bit. You can go a number of different ways here. Who have you got number 3, Cal?
All right, number 3 pick. I'm gonna have to not actually take my number 3 because, as I mentioned, I had AD at my 4th spot.
Yep.
So I'm gonna reach up to my projected 2nd pick.
Hit me.
And I'm gonna take Giannis.
Giannis.
I'm gonna take Giannis, the Greek freak.
He was my number 3.
Yeah. It's a good pick. Strong player. He always plays a lot of games, like we mentioned with James Harden as well. But he carries some big stats, like in terms of rebounds and then also points and field goal. He is huge. And then he gets those counting stats on the defensive end. It was only 1-1, but I feel like that could even be a low season. Like I would not be surprised at all if that goes up to 1.5 and 1.5. Like, would anyone be surprised? No.
Well, I don't necessarily see it happening just based on the scheme that the Bucks play, and you can see a clear shift in Giannis's numbers when the coach came in. I'm blanking on the guy's name. I should know. Coach Bud. When Coach Bud came in, he's obviously a much more conservative defensive scheme, which has worked well for them. Like they've been an incredibly good defensive team, but it results
in the playoffs.
It results in less. It results in less steals and less blocks for our fantasy teams. But in saying that, the great stats elsewhere. Obviously, you're punting free throws with this pick, Carl.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When you get him, you have the option to go punt threes, or both. Yeah. Or a combination of 3. I
think you definitely have to punt free throws if you're picking Giannis. I don't know if you can be competitive in that category.
It depends because he shoots so many. So he averaged 10 free throws a game last season, which is huge, and he only shot 63%, which is bad. I'm not going to say it's good, but the thing about week to week, head-to-head leagues is if you just kind of maintain a reasonable free throw, he could have a week where he actually shoots real well. So he shoots so many. There could be a week where he's all right, and it could be worth maybe holding on to that and then just punch something like the threes where he's not going to shoot many threes at all. Like I feel like that's kind of a given.
That's a good point about those percentage categories. So if those percentage categories, they can fluctuate wildly. You can have a week that they don't do well, and you can sneak in an extra category win.
I've had some punt field goal teams that have one field goal consistently, and it's just like you just get someone who gets hot, and then boom, he just carries field goal. So it depends what you're doing. And so with those ones, I don't usually like to punt them, but it's good to have the option. So it's good that when I get Giannis, I'd be looking to punt the 3 throw or the 3 or both. So it's good to have the option.
For those who are not familiar with the terms that we're using, like punting, basically it's a key strategy when we're doing a head-to-head build. Basically, we're just ignoring that category. It doesn't mean that you have to be intentionally bad at the category. You're not trying to be the worst free throw shooting team as possible, but you're literally just discarding it. You're not even concerned about it. And if you happen to be good in the category, like you said, you can sneak out a few wins here and there. So that's what I like about Giannis. But in saying that, over the season, Giannis was literally the worst free throw percentage negative in the entire league.
No one else. 10 attempts is why it's so bad.
That's why it's so bad. 63% at 10 attempts. He's the worst impact free throw shooter in the comp. That could improve, and he could be not the worst, but that's why I don't think you can really build a team to be a good, consistent free throw shooting team.
Which is fair enough. It's fair enough. And it's good to have the option. Like, if I'm going in, it depends who I come in the second round.
Yeah.
But, you definitely got to keep it in the cards.
Yeah.
We could touch on that first pick with AD. A punt. He's a pretty good player where you can kind of choose your punt strategy a bit later.
Yeah.
But with him, I guess what screams, you could punt, maybe assists. But otherwise, you could do something a bit later.
Yeah.
Looking at Giannis' stats anyway over the last season, because he put up some insane numbers. And
MVP did back to back.
Yeah, for sure. So, what do you think he still goes for those MVP numbers this season?
Well,
Does the game plan change?
The man did that in 30 minutes a game.
I was about to say.
So it's just kind of like, I don't expect his minutes to go down.
To me, that's his flaw. Like, there's no way he's playing less than 30 minutes a game.
Yeah.
That's his flaw. If he play, imagine this man plays 35 minutes a game.
Yeah, it won't happen there. But even if he plays like 33, 34, he's going to average 30 points easily.
Easily, yeah.
30, like 14 and 6 if he play like 34 minutes. That'd be insane.
If you look at all these top players in these rankings, they're all playing 33, 34 plus minutes, and he's the only guy who's down at the 30-minute mark, except for someone like Joel Embiid, but he has his own sort of issues. So, to me, that's his flaw. There's no way he's getting worse than that.
Yeah.
Where do you have him ranked, Jermaine?
Oh, he was my 3.
He was number 3? Okay, so we all had him in our top 3. You had him at 2. Jermaine and I both had him at 3. The reason I had him at 3 and not 2 is just because you are forced into that punt.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I have no problems doing that. It just makes the game plan clear, and you know that you're not worrying about free throw percentage.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong kind of locking a punt early,
Yeah.
because then you can really strategize your next picks.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, let's move on to pick number 4. Who have you got, Jermaine?
Oh, this is a tough one here. This is really... I'm tossing up between 2 here.
All right, let's drop it.
Both are very similar, but one's a sure bet and one's just maybe.
I know you like to go with those sure bets.
Well, I'm going to go with the sure bet this time. I'm going Damian Lillard.
Damian Lillard, really? At pick 4.
Pick 4.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, explain yourself.
Man, I've said this a million times, but this dude just gets better and better every single year.
To your credit, he does.
And I don't see him slowing up at all. He's just going to keep on extending that range, and the closer they get, or the further they get through the playoffs, just the more hungry he gets every year. So, man, I reckon this dude will play as many games throughout the season as possible. He's going to be averaging 30 plus as well.
Yep.
Maybe his assists are still, it's at 8.
He put up 8 last season, which is actually, that's got to be a career high for him.
He's improved that steadily over the last few years.
And you've seen improvements over his playmaking skills as well.
And his turnovers are low, like 8 turnovers, only 8 assists, 2.9 turnovers, which is impressive. That's a good ratio.
Ridiculous.
And when you put up 30 points with the 2.9 turnovers, that's a good player to build around, 100%.
Yeah, so I'm going with him. 30 years old, in his prime.
Look, I can't knock it. I can't knock it. He's a good player. I personally have a few players above him.
Yeah.
I think you can get some more upside and some more total games. Obviously, he's a point guard, so you're lacking in those rebounds and blocks and field goal percentage, but that's okay. You can probably get that in the second round. I don't know. I just think he played 37 minutes a night last year. I could see that coming down.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's
I don't think he's that kind of guy though. He's going to tell Terry Stotts, "Nah, I'm playing this game."
They were pressing to get into the playoffs. Yeah, look, it might be around the same, but I don't see it going higher. That's my point. I think that's.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could say he's getting better next year. Look, last year he was the 5th ranked player, so that's right around when you picked him. There's a couple guys ahead of him that have question marks. So I don't hate it, but personally I have him down a couple spots.
Yeah.
I had him at 6.
That's fair enough.
Where did you have him, Cal?
I had him. I have him at 8.
Yeah, okay. You're not liking Jermaine's pick so far.
That's fine.
Look, I get the reach. I get to get the my favorite picks. This is great. So it's worked out well for me.
Who was the other guy you were tossing up? Just out of curiosity, I'll probably pick him, but.
I'm going Steph Curry.
Oh,
Curry,
okay,
yeah.
all right. Maybe I won't pick him.
who are comparable players.
Yeah.
Should we get into that now? Or should we? No, let's talk about more about Dame. I want to say the 3 throws are insane.
Yeah.
And the 3-point made is insane as well.
Yeah. So he's going to carry you in like 2 or 3 categories. Like
I will say that threes are easy to come by though. So and that's something that I like to take into account. So like your statistical scarcity, it's really easy to pick up. Someone at the end of the round, back in the day, one of my favorite guys was Nick Stauskas. Some guy that can go undrafted. But
JJ Redick.
JJ Redick, someone who can drop 2.5, 3 threes a game, who can go right at the end, and that's basically what Dame Lillard's. hitting 4 a game, sure, it's a lot, but it is something you can pick up later. The free throw volume and percentage is something you can't.
It's really hard to get.
That's really hard. So that's a really, really important thing. Shooting, what are you taking? Nearly 8 free throws a game at a really high percentage. So that's a huge
89%.
You can now afford to take a few of those lower free throw percentage guys, and you'll be doing really well in that category.
What are you looking to punt if you take Dame? It's probably going to be the defensive stats, right? You look to maybe do a steal or a block.
He's only getting a steal. He's not going to give you any blocks. Rebounding still pretty low for a guard.
Yeah,
but it's more the upside of those categories that he really excels at. So.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're forced into a punt yet. I guess it depends on who comes around the second round. But I mean, if you do get like a low shot blocking big on the next round, but then you're probably looking at punting the blocks.
Yeah. So it's good to have that bit of utility. Yeah. You get Dame, he'll really kind of fit a lot of molds. Doesn't hurt you, and then you can kind of make your mind up what you want to punt later on in maybe the second, third, fourth rounds.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, with my number 4 pick. He's one of my favourite players. He was my favourite player to watch last year. I'm taking Luka Doncic. He was my 4th ranked player, so this is at pick 5.
The wonder child.
Look, you might say it's early, Jermayne, but this man is incredible, and I see several avenues for him improving his rank. If I just go through the counting stats, basically 29 points a game, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 threes a game, over a steal. Didn't get any blocks, so obviously that's his weakness there. Where I see him improving is obviously in the percentages as well. Yeah. He shot 46% from the field and 75 from the line. The 75 from the line is the big one. If he can get that closer to 80% on this huge volume, shooting 9 a game, that turns from a negative into a positive. And just that flip is actually just going to shoot him up the rankings because of that big volume, he's taking 9 a game. If he's just the slightest bit under the average, it turns into a big negative. But like you said before, Cal, with that, on any week, he could be shooting 100% from the line, and you're winning that category.
It fluctuates, it does.
So it's something that, might be a soft punt. And one things I do like to do is at least one of those percentage categories is punt those builds.
It can be good to punt it just because with the fluctuation. Yeah. So you'll have one week with Luka where he has a game where he's like 14 or 14. And it's like, sweet, well, I'm pretty competitive now in that category.
Yeah. And in a punt turnover build, he was ranked 12th last year. It's going to be his 3rd year in the NBA. Like, this guy's just going to get better. He is so young and he's so talented.
He almost averaged a 30-point triple-double.
Yeah.
And I'll say, he played 33.6 minutes a game. I can see that going up to like 35.
That could go 35.
Pretty easily, and that's just more points, more everything, right? So
the guy I was tossing up between him at this point, and I could be swayed either way, was him and Karl Anthony Towns. But for me personally, I like building around someone who, if I'm punting, I can punt the percentages rather than a counting stat. And so that was my reasoning there. I just think he's an easier player to build around for my fantasy team. And let's be honest, a more exciting player to watch. And fantasy is all about having fun, You want to watch your guy go out there and get
It's always
buckets.
great to have that one guy that's just always going to deliver, watchability wise.
Another underrated thing is the at least on something like a Yahoo, where we play, is positions. He's able to be point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and whilst not the biggest deal, I don't really like to use that as a big reason, but it's just a nice thing to have, that flexibility to get him in different positions on sometimes those low volume days or those high volume days, and you've got several wings who are not playing but all your guards are playing, you can slot over to the small forward positions, and that gives you a bit more flexibility. What are your thoughts, Cal? Where did you have Luka?
I had Luka at that number 5 spot as well. Slotted in.
Cool.
So I'll reveal my next pick later, but that was one player who I had higher.
Okay.
Obviously, then both Luka and AD at my 4 positions. So
really?
That's my pick next. But look, Luka is a great pick, man. Like, he's only going to get better, right? It was his second season.
It's his second season. There's no way he's worse than ranked 12, which he was last year. And I just think that the sky's the limit with this guy. You would not even surprise me. He's the number 1 fantasy player next year. That would not surprise me. He's got the talent to do it. Like, say he comes out and shoots 82% from the line, scores 33 points a game. He could easily do that. Yeah. And that's the number 1 player right there. So bit of upside there, and I don't see much of a low floor either.
Yeah, like huge upside. Like, I mean, it's all about the percentage. Even looking at his 3-point percentage as well, like 32%. Like, this he's such a good shooter.
He's not even.
But he's taking those tough shots, which is bringing that percentage down.
A lot of step back threes.
A lot of them. Yeah, he's making some good ones, but I mean, like that's the thing. Like as he gets older, he starts to mature. He starts to make better shots.
That goes up. Yeah, that goes from 2.9 to 3.5 threes a game.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see that happen.
But yeah, he gets it around that 80%.
I'm interested. Where did you have him ranked? Because you were historically lower on Luka, as you know.
I had him at like 8.
Okay.
So it's just the free throw. I'm like, how much does he improve it this season? That's all I had.
And look, even if it stays the same, that's fine. He probably still will be close to that, 10, 11, 12 mark. But I'm willing to risk that. He's a good shooter, so I can see it coming up.
Yeah.
Luka Doncic, who I will say that I did get in the second round last year. Just shout out to the fantasy boys. Everyone said it was a reach at the time.
I definitely did say that.
There's always haters on draft day, that's for sure.
All right, let's go to the number 6 pick. Over to you, Cal.
All right, the number 6 pick, as I touched on it before, I had this guy at ranked number 3, and that's because I think the ceiling, I feel like everyone kind of forgets, but Steph Curry. Steph Curry, baby. Everyone forgets about Steph Curry. He is healthy. He had a weird wrist injury on his offhand, and he definitely could have come back. They just decided to they just wanted to punt, and they did well. They got the second pick, so congrats to Golden State. But Steph Curry is a 2-time MVP. He's a champion. He's put up incredible stats before. Yep. Okay, he's led the league in steals while putting up 30 points and 6 and 6. The man shoots incredibly efficient from the 3-throw line. Not super high, only 5 attempts a game. I'll give him that. But the man he can carry your 3-pointer is just like what you touched on before, Mitch. You can pick that up in the later rounds. But then again, this man has averaged 5 a game. Like that's just like it's huge. Yeah. It's just like an insane amount of threes. It elevates your team a lot. He doesn't hurt you really at all. Like even if his turnovers aren't that bad. So you got a lot of what I was touching on before with Anthony Davis or even kind of Luka, where you can have a bit of utility going to that next round. So you have a lot of options. He's a safe pick just because of that, and I think he's well worth it.
Yeah, look, I don't hate it. I had him at 7, so just 1 pick lower. I did have Damian Lillard ahead of him. I had players like Luka ahead of him. And in saying that though, he was the last player outside of James Harden who was the number 1 ranked fantasy player. Back before Kevin Durant. And that's the underrated thing, is that we haven't seen a healthy Steph Curry play without Kevin Durant for a few years now. Yeah. So he has got that upside to go back to a dominant player.
That's what I'm expecting. Like, Kevin Durant's out. We know he takes up a lot of...
He is several years older.
He takes up a lot of shots, man.
He's several years older.
He was like 31.
He's 32 now.
Like, whatever. He's still in his prime. When you can shoot like that and when you have handles like that, I mean, like, is he really relying on his athleticism that much? And it's not like he's going to decline when he's 32. Like, I think it's more when you're... maybe 34 is when it really starts to plateau.
Who do you see scoring more, Damian Lillard or Steph Curry?
Well, look, Dame put up 30 points last season. In Steph Curry's MVP season, he put up 30.1. So if you're looking at who scored the most points, Steph Curry's got that 0.1 on him in terms of the averages. That was his MVP season.
To me, I see Damian Lillard scoring more just because... I don't know, I feel like he's got more of a role or more of a burden on his shoulders than Steph. But
really? It's not like that team's not great.
It's close, though, is my point. Maybe Steph edges him out in 3-pointers made. The rebounds are the same. I would say Damian Lillard would have more assists than Steph. And one thing that made him that number 1 player a few years ago was the steal numbers. He was close to averaging 2 steals a game back when he was a number 1 ranked player.
Yeah. Well, it's 2.1 steals. He led the league in steals.
Yeah. And recently that's fallen off a fair bit, which does happen as players get older. So I think that it's going to have a big impact on his value, just in terms of when you're talking about these top ranked players. So to me, him and Damian Lillard are very similar. You're substituting a few more threes for maybe a few more assists for Damian Lillard. But for me, it's just Lillard seems a bit more safe to me than Steph. I know it's only a hand injury on his non-shooting hand, but even still, he's been off for a long time. There may be a bit of rust early in the season. I don't know. I think I just edge.
You'd tweak. You'd be on Lillard's side.
I think it's
I think that is the debate because they're so similar.
Yeah, they're very similar.
I'd definitely go. I just feel like Steph's just got a higher ceiling. I like we've seen what we have from Dame.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I could agree with that.
He put up 30 points a game, and he played a lot of minutes. And I mean, Steph Curry hasn't played as many minutes.
He doesn't need as many.
And this is now Durant's gone. So that's literally 18 shots a game and the bulk of those will go back to Steph Curry.
Yeah.
So
I suppose there's a lot to play out still at the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, we're doing this mock draft of sorts before free agency, before the draft. So I guess we'll see how that team actually looks in the end. But as currently constructed, you'd think he's getting a lot of those shots.
Yeah.
Where do you have Steph, Jermaine?
Well, I had him right after Damian Lillard. It was like they were pretty close though. I mean,
I had them ranked next to each other.
I ranked Steph so high just as a player in general because this dude believed me, like made me believe that he was the GOAT.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I love Steph.
I was like, what is this guy the greatest of all time?
There's no
doubting.
like, yeah, 100%. That year that which I'm pretty sure he was on my fantasy team that year, and I think I won that year actually. That was the last time I won a fantasy season. But yeah, he just went absolutely
5 threes a game.
Yeah.
Like
Nasty.
What the fuck?
It's ridiculous.
I think he shot 50% from the field that year as well. From a point guard, that's huge.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like to me, I don't think he's gonna put up as high scoring points as Lillard. But even if this guy still averages 25, 5 and 5 on 50, 40, 90, that's still gonna put him in.
You think he's shooting 50% from the field?
He's probably going to be about 48%. He's still going to be ridiculously efficient though.
That MVP season, he put up 20 shots a game. That's a lot of shots, right?
Yeah.
50% field goal.
He shot 12 3-pointers.
His stats were he shot 11 threes.
Yeah.
So over half of his shots are threes,
Yeah.
but he's still shooting 50% from the field, 45 from 3, and then he was over 90% from the free throw line. So it's a classic 50, 45, 90 club, which is absurd. And
crazy.
look, I'll say it again. Durant's gone, man. The snake has left.
And that's the thing. Yeah, even if he only averages 25 and 5. Like he's still going to be. His efficiency is going to make him even a top 5 player, projected to better than my
so
pick.
efficient.
If he's at that level, but it's been a long time since he's played.
Dame doesn't have that efficiency. That's probably the one knock to Dame,
efficiency.
and in the favor of Steph, because that's insane.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to where we're at now. Pick number 7 now. Jermaine, who you taking at 7?
Man, this is tough, but I'm gonna have to go. I don't like this dude. But I'm gonna go with Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I think he's the. I know. He's not a fun guy.
I don't like.
He's not an actually he's not as good as these players. But you
Yeah.
can't deny the man's stats.
Yeah.
He was my number 6. I had him at 6.
Yeah.
I think it's fair, but I'll let you break down your
So it's like he puts up some great numbers, some incredible numbers. But I mean, I just don't agree with his game. But hard to go wrong with him.
He was the number 3 ranked player last year,
Yeah.
and we're picking him at 7.
I think it's because we just know that his numbers don't translate to real life.
Yeah, but still stats there.
It's all stats.
There's no wins category.
Maybe they should bring wins in. Is that something they could do?
Yeah, obviously we didn't get to see much of a sample size with him and D'Angelo Russell playing together. So that's a different dynamic, and they've got the number 1 pick. Who knows what they're going to do with that? Maybe they trade it for more talent. So that's something that has to still come into the mix. But
I will say, I think with D'Angelo, I think that's a match made in heaven. Like the pick and roll games they're going to have will be awesome, and if anything, I see his points going up because they do get along, obviously, and I think that'd be a deadly kind of offensively. That'd be a great combo. So it'd be great for fantasy.
Yeah. Until last year, he was considered a bit of an Iron Man as well. I mean, last year he had a bit of a horror season with injuries. Only played 35 games, but
First 3 seasons, he played all 82 games.
yeah,
I think that was a record.
Didn't miss a game. Oh, no, I think
That was the most active.
John Jordan has a record.
I think it was a record for
The start,
most from the start.
yeah, potentially.
most from the start, like for a rookie. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have noticed that his blocks have started to slow down in the last few seasons. Maybe as it's sort of a trend you normally see with young bigs. They start coming out blocking a lot of shots, and their defense gets better, and they stop going for as many. One thing that I'm sure you love, Jermaine, is his percentages as a big man.
For sure. Big men that can shoot. Tough, man. See, this guy shot average 3 3-pointers a game.
That's insane.
That's ridiculous.
That's more than someone
all your point guards.
That's more than Kyrie Irving or LeBron James or even Luka Doncic. That's actually crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So, and look,
Historic for a center, I'll say.
Yeah.
Historic.
Yeah.
So
and with D'Angelo Russell there, that team's not going to be winning on defense. They're going to be winning by scoring.
Points.
They're going to be playing a fast pace. They're going to be getting up and down the court. So that's what we like in fantasy. So I personally think that Cat should go higher than this. I don't think that he would normally last until pick 7.
I feel like he will go like 6, 7, 8 though.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to go top 5.
There's a bit of a.
It's not an exciting pick. That's
no,
why.
it's not exciting.
No one's going to. Oh yeah, I'll get Cat at 3.
I think if you're getting Cat at 7, you're getting a good pick.
You are.
I think that's a great pick at pick 7.
Don't pass on Cat at 7 or 8.
Yeah.
If you pass at 7 and you don't take my amazing advice.
Was there anyone else you were deciding between there, Jermaine?
Is that or Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but not really on his bandwagon at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. There's a few issues, few red flags with Kawhi.
Exactly.
All right, I'll go with pick number 8 here. Again, it's the start of the draft where I'm starting to get a bit. I'm not loving a lot of these picks. There's a few question marks on a lot of these guys. Kawhi Leonard's a name that I'm starting to consider here. But I'm aware, look, he was the 4th ranked player last year, but I'm just aware of those games played and the back-to-backs. I'm aware of the schedule that's going to be coming up. We have no idea what the schedule's going to be like in fantasy playoffs. So at this stage, I can't pick him this high. I want my first pick to be a safer pick, someone I can rely on. So at this pick, I'm going with Nikola Jokic.
Yeah. Ooh, nice. Yeah.
Another big man.
Yeah.
Now, I've noticed a trend with Jokic. Tends to start the season pretty slowly, and then
oh, dude, he pissed me off
until you trade him.
Look, I picked him last season. I had the 5th pick.
Yeah,
I got.
You were pretty frustrated,
and there was a point where I was like, "Guys, give me some trades. Like, please take this man off my hands.
Yeah.
I just hate what he's doing." It was really just.
I think
like putting up like 15 points a game and like
6 and 4.
Yeah, just
like
real bad. Yeah. And then it just really pissed me off. Like barely any free throws. It was like the worst first round pick it was pretty much the first month.
Yeah.
And I feel like a little bit of that was because he played in that Euro tournament for Serbia, and that he didn't really get much of a break. So I feel like he just decided, oh, you know what, I'm going to take the first month off and just kind of coast and make that a bit of a break, and then turn it on a bit later. And he turned it on.
Yeah, he did.
He turned it on.
Well, he finished with
put him back up.
He finished as the 9th ranked player.
Yeah.
Fantasy.
He turned it on for me, which is nice.
He finished the season incredibly strong. I think in the top 5 or even potentially even top 3 if I look at it. Again, 32 minutes played, so there's room for that to come up. I think the Nuggets are a team that pushes the ball, plays a fast pace. At this point, with his style, I may even be looking to punt points. He's, of these guys, clearly one of the lowest scoring players at only 20 points a game. Look, it's 20 points a game, but when we compare with these other guys, it's going to be hard for me to catch that up. Unless I get someone like a Devin Booker or something like that in the second round, it's going to be tough for me to get those points back. So that might be what I'm looking to do. Because otherwise, he's got no clear weaknesses. He's a big man that doesn't block shots, which, look, I'm fine with.
Blocks.
I can punt blocks.
He really doesn't block it. 0.6 is not.
That's nothing for a center.
Yeah, for a center. Look. Say I get a.
You have to make up for it in the second or third round.
Yeah. Say I get a Drummond or even a Gobert. Maybe I'm punting points and I get a Gobert in that second round, or I go the other way and I get a Booker and now I'm punting blocks and I'm going for points. So I've got a bit of flexibility there, or I can do both. So
and that's why he's a good pick, and that's why I did like him when I picked him up first round last year, was because you got some good moves you can make there. He doesn't
great
make
percentages.
He doesn't make a whole lot of threes either. So
I can see that going up.
You could even punt that. Like, it's just like you
as a big man,
options.
that's okay though. You know. You think about Anthony Davis, we said before, was hitting 1.2. He's hitting 1.1. I can see him getting closer to 1.5 threes a game.
That's true.
But yeah, just a pretty safe pick, I would say.
And he puts up like
too flashy.
That's 2010 7 assists.
7 assists from a center that's big time.
It's huge.
That's very handy to have. Where did you guys have him ranked?
I had him ranked there because, as I said before, I had Dame at 8, so all my picks just kind of slid down. But I had Carl Anthony, and then followed by I had Nikola Jokic as well.
I had him around that as well.
Yeah, okay. I think this is the perfect time of the draft to pick him, that mid first round. So pretty safe pick there. All right, let's go on to number 9, Cal. Who are you taking?
Number 9. I'll say who I decided between, and I'll say that because they're all kind of similar. So this pick, I was deciding between Kevin Durant, LeBron, or Kawhi. But all of them had that same. All of it's like the risk of like the game time.
So here's where we get a bit dicey. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, which one do I take? It's a tough choice. It could just come up to your personal preference.
Yeah. What's your
if
personal
you listen out there.
preference,
Yeah.
I decided, even though I don't love it because he ruined the NBA for years and he's an absolute snake. But Kevin Durant, I just like, you know what? The ceiling is pretty high. He did his Achilles like a year and a half ago.
It's an Achilles though, man. Like,
but like the man has like a wingspan. He's 7 foot, and he's got like a 7'6" wingspan. He can still shoot on anyone. It doesn't matter, and it's not like he's going to lose his shot. So he can still get a shot off, and he's still going to score. He might be a little bit less athletic, but he can still get a shot off. I mean, Dirk was like the epitome of not athletic but could score. Yeah, and Durant's really the closest thing to Dirk in the fact that he's just like a 7-footer who can shoot, and no one can really guard his shot, really. So I think he's still pretty safe. The only thing is, it's just the games. I'm not too sure about the games.
Personally, I hate this point in, like, if I'm wanting a draft pick, I do not want to be at the end of the draft this year, just because there's so many question marks on some.
I think this is where it chops off. Like after the top 8 are pretty good, but after that it's kind of like there's a lot of injuries / games played, and you can take a lot of different directions, but you're not feeling too confident as you own your top 8. 8 is safe.
So obviously with you taking Durant, your second round pick, you're hoping you get a pretty safe sort of guy, someone who's low risk.
I'd have to get someone who's just going to play games. If I could get like a D book or something in the second round, I'd try to go for that because he plays a lot of games. So,
what are your thoughts there, Jermaine? You hate it?
I go back and forth with this Durant pick every time, like a lot, just because I'm thinking like injury. But then I think about back at the Warriors versus Toronto, that game where he did do his Achilles. Minutes before, he was on fire, man. He wasn't even moving well, dude. All this dude had to do was catch and shoot, man, and he could probably finish the game with 30 points. So like. Even if he's healthy and he's at 80%, he's still going to be averaging like 27 points a game.
Yeah, and another plus for him as well is he obviously sacrificed a lot in Golden State, like Steph did, and now it's him and Kyrie, and I mean it's really a clear third. I mean you got Spencer Dinwiddie, I guess, and Karis LeVert, who will to some degree demand the ball, and I guess maybe they'll make a trade. Who knows? Yeah, but I still feel like his shots should, if anything, really go up. In my opinion,
I don't think it'll go down.
There's no way it's going to go down. So it should go up, which just means he's got even more kind of reward.
And he's one of those players that are incredibly versatile. He's got no real weakness in his game, so you've got a lot of flexibility when it comes back in the second round in terms of who you pair with him to get your punt build going. So you don't have to make that decision right away.
Do you think the Nets are going to load manage him?
To some degree,
I think so. I think they maybe wouldn't have if the season was normal, but I just think with this season being a bit more condensed, there's going to be more 3 games and 4 nights. I think they might manage him. Again, it depends on how they're doing. If they're up the top of the standings, definitely. If they're fighting for the playoffs, they may need to play more. But
to start the season, I definitely see a lot of rest. And then look, I saw that with Kawhi, and I saw that with LeBron as well. And that's why it's just kind of like, well, I feel like his ceiling is higher than those two. So that's why I want them.
To me, my philosophy, like obviously it might not show it in the other picks I've done, but like to me, it's always about games played. That's like number one criteria,
especially in the first round.
And if it came to those 3, I wouldn't even consider them. Honestly, I'd probably have to pick someone.
Go somewhere else.
I'd probably go somewhere else. Honestly, no matter how high their upside would be, if they were to play a set of a full season. I'd probably have to go.
Well, that's interesting. So who's your next pick?
Now you're not gonna like this pick. I guarantee.
Look, there's a few players I'm not sure at this point of the draft. So
I've got 2 guys. But I'm gonna say one.
Hit me.
John Collins.
No, he's not a first round pick.
You missed.
John Collins.
My God,
you missed.
I'm really sorry for our listeners out there, man. I really feel bad for our listeners. Don't listen to this man.
You're not going to go his teammate, Trae Young?
It was up to those two. But I think John Collins his skill set in his position is pretty damn good.
Trae Young was a better fantasy player, wasn't he?
So in a punt turnover build,
depends on what punt you build.
Yeah, that's true. That is
in
true.
a punt turnover build, Trae Young was the 7th overall pick last year as like a second-year player.
He's gonna be better. That's why I had him on my next pick. But
look, John Collins was ranked 10th last year. He didn't play as many games,
and he didn't play that. I owned him last year. He didn't play very well the first part of the season.
Well, what about the addition of Clint Capella?
This dude can play 4 as well, and his shooting is incredible. He shot 40% from the 3-point line.
I don't love it.
I think Clint Capella is only going to boost his assists. It's just like a better. Well, you got him. Oh no, sorry.
You're talking about John Collins.
I'm thinking about Trey. Okay,
Well,
yeah, I feel like that'll affect.
The pick and roll
Surely.
game between those two, you can like they're both shooting like 40%, and like it's just impossible.
Yeah, but a lot of
to
those plays, like the pick and pop players, will now go to Capella.
Yeah, I can see, and I can also
Capella's
see.
not popping. He's not popping out to three. No,
Oh, well, yeah, pick and roll.
you know,
Purely pick and roll.
if you're a smart coach, you're using John Collins because this guy's talented, man.
I actually hate this pick so much.
No, I
I feel like it should have been Trey. I feel like if you're going to go Hawks, you go
He was
Trey.
my next guy, but I can see John Collins' blocks going down. Look, he averaged 1.6 last year. I don't see that happening. If he's playing 4,
No, he's athletic though.
he's athletic.
This
But if
guy's
he's playing
so
4,
mobile as
he's going to
well,
be further away from the rim, and that's just going to be
But he
less
still played a
opportunities.
fair bit of 4 last season though. He didn't
But
play
he's
that
going to play
much
even
4.
less this year. Is my point. I can see
Yeah.
him going closer to like 1.2, 1.3 blocks a game, and in a category like that, that's enough to drop your value a lot. And then rebounds. I don't think he's going to average over 10 rebounds a game. He'll be closer to like 8 or 9.
Even if
And just those small things are going to drop him down. He'll be closer to the 20 range, in my opinion.
I don't think so. I think he's going to be pretty steady from last season. He's just going to get better in the shooting.
All right.
It's just I'm a firm believer in this dude.
Yeah.
man.
I hope you're not just taking us for a ride, Jermaine, for your own. This better be legit. You're not just trying to get a one-up on the state high
It's all
draft.
mind games. Man. It's all mind games.
Well, if you look at his 3-point field goal, he actually shot 40%.
Yeah, 40%.
But he only shot 3.6 attempts. So you could see the coach being like, hey, bro, let's turn this on.
Let's just
That
turn
could
this
up
up a
his
little bit.
points.
Yeah.
Obviously, I assume the efficiency will come down. I don't think he's going to shoot 40%. But let's say it drops down to like a 37, 38. That's still really good. It'll be
Yeah.
more points. It'll be more 3-pointers in your fantasy column. So.
Yeah. And free throw shooting as well, 80%. It could easily go better because he's got that potential of being a 3-point shooter.
He averaged 1.5 assists.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be the
not
punt,
good.
right?
Yeah,
If you
obviously
get
punt
him,
assists.
you'd be looking to punt assists, I guess.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to average 1.5 assists. Like, that's actually difficult to do.
Well, I think he'll, given the position, I was watching a bit of tape, just this afternoon, and that pick and pop game between him and he's going to be forced in that position to be a bit of a distributor,
Maybe
be a bit of a playmaker. And he moves quick enough. He's mobile enough to make plays, so that's why I see maybe his game expanding.
Okay, look, maybe this just go up. They definitely can't go down. Like, I just don't see it.
22 and 10, come on. With an elite 3-point shooting.
Yeah, and with the blocks too, makes it pretty good.
Yeah.
So like when you have 1.4 threes and 1.6 blocks, that's a cool combo to have.
I didn't understand you two. I mean, I didn't expect you to understand anyway, so...
Well, look, at the next pick, what are we up to?
I'll just say, you're forgetting about your favourite category, Jermaine. Turnovers.
Turnovers.
1.8 turnovers. Mitch may have forgotten that. This is a category it's one of the 9 categories.
Look,
you have to consider it.
Even with me punting turnovers.
That's the biggest strength for him, surely.
With me punting turnovers, he was still coming out as the 10th ranked player. So
Top 10.
Look, he had an amazing season last year.
I think
he had an
he's
amazing season.
I think he'll get better.
I just
than last
find
season.
I don't want to pick him as my first player. I don't want to build around John Collins. Like this.
Yeah, I know he's not a pretty pick.
Yeah.
But I think Atlanta make a move to the playoffs next year. So
I like their team. That might be a year early.
I think it's a year early
Yeah.
too, but
those,
I don't know.
Those two.
with
man,
Capella,
they're
it could be
good.
interesting actually. So you never know.
See what they do.
Trey.
All right, I'm gonna make the pick that you should have done, and I'm gonna take the Atlanta Hawk that you should have taken, and I'm gonna take Trae Young with
fine.
the what are we at?
Is that 10?
Is it pick 10? Yeah, pick number 10, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, Trae Young, like this guy's amazing. The punt turnovers, 7th ranked player, 30 points a game, 3.4 threes a game, averaged 9 assists, nearly led the league in assists. This guy's just incredible. Second year in the league, so he's only going to get better. He's only understanding the game more. Look, you might hate the average 4.8 turnovers. I don't care. Who gives a fuck? Like, turnovers.
We know you don't care about turnovers, Mitch. We know
No,
that.
but these guys were literally like right head and head of each other. But I still
Yeah.
I got
This free throw-
I gotta represent. them.
Jermaine does actually consider turnovers.
Yes.
So that's why I guess elevated him. I personally would have gone Trae Young over him.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have, as I said before, my picks were originally between Kevin Durant, LeBron James and Kawhi. So these guys are lower for me. But look, fair enough. The man almost put up 30 points a game.
Yeah, look, you know, look at 30 points and 10 assists. Like, that's crazy. He's got more offensive weapons on his team now. The free throw percentage is another awesome category. So he's shooting over 9 attempts a game at 86+%.
Yeah, that's huge.
So that's a huge boost in that category. I can now take a big man to follow that up on the next round and pair with him. Compared to, I did consider players like Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James. Even Joel Embiid starts to come into consideration at this point. But I'm on your side of the fence there, Jermaine. I want someone who's safe, and maybe if another guy's coming back to me on that second round, I'll take a riskier player. But I just want to lock in right now someone who I know is good, who's going to be available, who's on a young team. They're not worried about load managing him. He's going to be gun, going full speed. So that's why I'm taking Trae Young.
Yeah, it's a fair bet. He does help so many categories. I mean, your points and your free throw and your threes and assists.
And that's what you want. That's what you want.
Categories elevated.
That's what you want in a head-to-head league. Like you want someone who's elite in several categories.
Yeah, 4 categories, a massive boom. There.
Yeah, huge boom. So,
and then you got the options to punt, blocks, steals.
Yeah.
Rebounds if you wanted to.
It's an easy
even your field goal, I guess you could as well. Actually, his field goal 43.7%. That's pretty bad.
It's a bit of a negative. It's his worst category outside of turnovers.
He's a great kind of punt player because when you have him on your team, the 4 are so elevated and you have so many good options to punt there. So he is a kind of good player to build around.
So maybe I'm hoping that on the next turn I get someone like a Kawhi Leonard to come back to me or a Bradley Beal, and then I'm cooking. I'm doing really well in that situation. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair pick. And he should play a lot of games. Like his rookie season, he played 81. He played 60 games in this reduced season, which is up there as well. So
I think he'll average more than 30. I think he's going to be up there 33 points a game. Honestly, he's a walking bucket.
And you didn't pick him.
Yeah, well, they were head and head, but someone's going to rep John Collins. No one would mention it.
All right, Cal, who are you picking as our second last pick?
Well, it's got to be between, I guess, the guys I considered before. So out of LeBron and Kawhi, it's out of those 2 for me. I'm going to just probably have to go with LeBron. Slid out of the top 10.
Really?
It's got to be the first year he slid out of the fantasy top 10 in a long time, right?
Yeah, look.
Like there was that announcement that I mentioned before about David Silver, the commissioner, saying expect rest from LeBron.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a bit overblown because you know where that came from was that podcast with I think it was JJ Redick's podcast,
maybe,
where Danny Green went on to say that he's going to take the first month of the season. I think Danny Green was just saying that off the cuff in an immediate reaction kind of thing. LeBron James is not someone who would just like go to the Bahamas and just chill out. Like he'll reduce his minutes. He'll maybe rest on a back-to-back or something like that. But a very durable player. And if anyone's going to come back after this short turnaround and put up big numbers, I expect LeBron James could do that. He's a freak.
And the thing with LeBron, which people should realize as well, like he's got so much on his shoulders in terms of like so many people go to the Lakers to watch him. And it's something like with Kobe at the last stages. It's kind of, I feel like he has a lot of guilt just kind of skipping a game. So I don't see him, he's not like the type of guy that really rests that many games. I reckon we could see his minutes go down. Like that could be it. He does average so many minutes. I mean, he's led the league in minutes 3 times in his career, which is hard to believe. But he still put up 34.6 minutes in that last season. The 10.2 assists is huge. He led the league in assists. At the 11th, is this the 11th pick? As the 11th pick,
I think this might be 12. I might have miscounted. Yeah.
I'm picking up a 25-point per game player, 10 assists a game.
Yeah, and the assists are huge because that was a big jump last year when he moved to point guard. He's picked up those assists, which is very valuable to have, and especially in a player that's power forward eligible. Yeah, that's pretty big.
And like always, with such a bulk shooter, he's putting up 49% field goal, which is a bit of a dip for him, but it's still good. It's still a very efficient way of scoring. The one knock, I guess, look, if you get him, you're looking at punts. You could do the punt 3 throw. That's a classic.
That's a classic
LeBron James. It is classic LeBron James. You could punt. You could go blocks or. You got some options there. You could punt threes. Maybe he only shoots two threes a game, so you still have some options. Yeah. And that massive boost in like field goal, points, and assists, I think is huge. So he's a great player to get. If you can get him outside the top 10. Take LeBron James.
Yeah, I like the pick. I had
take him over John Collins. Who's listening to me out there? Take him over John Collins.
That's still you got to
John Collins. I personally have LeBron James over a Kevin Durant. In my opinion, just because the unknown factor for Kevin Durant is a bit higher for me. LeBron's just always been there, so I don't feel the need to count him out. So yeah, but I think around this point is where I would want to take him. I don't think I'd want to take him inside the top 10 though.
Would you take him over? Because it would be him or Kawhi. So who would you have picked out of those 2?
This is tough. I have the right to reserve this decision, but right now I would take Kawhi over LeBron.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying, do you have LeBron as a first round pick then?
I do, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I had Kawhi.
Obviously, you didn't have Collins in there, did you?
I didn't have Collins.
But that's who you would have slipped in.
So
did you have LeBron too?
Yeah, I would have swapped.
Yeah.
I would have swapped Kawhi with Collins and then moved Trey up one. And yeah, I just don't know. I think there's a lot of talk about the Clippers were a bit annoyed at Kawhi Leonard taking games off. That was causing a lot of tension in there. So I think that they might look to fix that. Ty Lue might not be having any of that this season. In saying that, we've got to assume that he's going to rest some games. But I think he's a younger player than LeBron. Obviously, he didn't go quite as deep into the playoffs as LeBron did. So at some point, you've got to take into account LeBron's age.
No, stop saying that. I hate that argument. The man is a machine. Right?
No, at some points, and like I'm not comparing him to bloody, someone else like John Collins. I'm comparing him to Kawhi Leonard.
I reckon there's an argument for that if you can see LeBron's athleticism go downhill. But
we haven't seen it yet.
I've not seen that yet. No. He is still just as athletic at 35. So it literally, he's still going to put up the same, very similar.
It's a coin flip. Look, and I reserve the right to change if I hear some talk about load management with Kawhi Leonard in the preseason. I'll make that swap. But at this stage, early on, I'm taking Kawhi.
I think they both go under load management, honestly.
Probably, yeah. That's the most likely scenario.
Yeah. I just wouldn't pick either of those guys. So.
At pick 12, though, then you get that back-to-back pick. You can pick someone safe. And,
he had the back-to-back. Yeah. If that was a sure thing. Yeah, not a bad idea.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we might leave it there. Lots of interesting picks, lots to think about. Obviously, we've got lots of news to come out. Free agency and the draft coming. So we're going to keep coming with some more fantasy content. As the sites open up, we'll be giving you some sleepers, some busts, John Collins, and all that good stuff. So if you love your fantasy, stay tuned to the Ball Boys, and we got you. Thanks for joining in, boys. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.